Hello and welcome to another episode of Driveway Dudes.
Today we're going to show you how to change the oil and oil filter in a 2010 Seat Ibiza 1.2 petrol.
Right, first thing you need to do is you need to park the car on the flat, and with the engine warm you jack it up, and when you jack it up always remember, be safe, use an axle stand, and back here we have a triangle chock and behind the back wheel, as you can see. Okay, so next you undo the oil filler cap, just give it a little wipe and pull up the oil dipstick, which will allow for better flow when it's draining from the sump.
Okay, so now I'm going to undo the sump plug, and for that you'll need a 6mm Allen key piece, and yeah, let's go ahead and do it. Okay, so the sump plug is located just at the back of the sump here, so let's just undo it. Okay, I've cracked it there, so I'm just going to undo it now, and before I actually completely undo it, grab your drain pan, and yeah, let's get going. And just like any sump plug, just kind of hold it in as you're undoing it, and hope not to make too much of a mess. Okay. That sounded like that was the washer. But, you know, these things happen.
While William is draining the oil underneath, we're going to replace the oil filter. And as you can see, the oil filter is in here and it's held on with a cap. Now underneath the filter is the generator alternator, so it's a good idea to cover it with a cotton rag before you start. Now as you can see, it'll take a socket, and we'll just size it up here, and I already know it's a 36, so we'll just put that into place and make sure it's a good snug fit. 36mm for those who are not metric, and it's on a 1/2 inch drive, and we'll just give it another. Oh, that is tight. Just keep going. Right, that was tight. Now it doesn't have to be tightened extremely tight, but it looks like someone had over tightened it previously. So gently undo, and we should see the oil filter any moment now. It's still a little bit tight. Hopefully they haven't crossed the threads. And now it's just hand tight. Screw it right out, and there will be some oil in there. Again, as you can see, some of it is spilling out, so that rag has come in very useful. Now also have a little bag for disposal of the oil filter, and place it into the bag. Now I've placed the whole housing in because I'm going to remove the filter from the housing inside the bag in case any more comes out. As you can see, this is your little filter here. So what we need to do now is we need to get this filter out, and the easiest way to do it is with a blade screwdriver. Just pop it in and just ever so gently ease it out, and there you feel a little or hear a little click, and it's ready to come out. And there we have it. You will see there's a little bit of residue of oil in the bowl, and we're going to give that a clean before we put in the new filter. And it just so happens I have an old pair of little ankle socks that have no better use, so we're going to give these a go. And just get as much of the old oil residue out as you can and make ready for the new filter. And there we go. As you can see on the filter housing, there's a little O-ring here. The replacement comes with the new filter, so what we'll do is we'll prise it off with a screwdriver. It's never going to be used again, so don't worry about it if it comes off awkwardly. And putting on the new O-ring, just dip your finger into the housing and spread it around the replacement or the new ring, and we'll just put it into place. It is a little bit stretchy, and just bring it down where the previous one was, and you can see there now that's a nice snug fit. Now the new filter is ready to go on, and first off what we're going to do is we're just going to clean out the inside of the housing with a residue oil out of it. So again, these little ankle socks come in very handy because they can get into tight little spaces and they're quite absorbent. So, and we'll just go around and get the residue out, and it looks nice and clean. And now for the new filter, again just put that on, and it will be a little bit awkward to press down into place, and what you do then is you press it down until you hear a click, and that's it, ready to go in. Now fitting is a reversal of removing, so just put it into place, make sure you line it up correctly and don't cross the threads, and we'll do a righty-tighty and tighten it as much as you can by hand. And then what we'll do is we'll torque it down. So it says 25.5 Newton meters, and we'll set the torque wrench to as close as possible, which in this case is 26, and we'll just tighten it down until you hear the click. That's it, you can hear the click.
Okay, so we're just about done here. Don't worry about the sump plug washer that fell into the pan, as I have a replacement. But of course, if you're reusing yours, which you wouldn't really recommend, you may need to fish it out afterwards. Okay, as you can see, it's just the last few drips, so it's virtually done. So we'll just wipe it off, make sure it's a nice clean surface. Yeah, there's nothing left there. That's nice and smooth. And you want to just move your tray out of the way. And you get your sump plug. It's just a couple of more drips. Just put the sock down here so it doesn't stain our driveway, which doesn't really matter. And that's it, just start screwing it in by hand. As you can see, or maybe you can see, we use a compression washer, so this is especially important for sump plugs that don't require a lot of torque. And that's it, it's done by hand. So we're going to get our torque bar to 30 Newton meters, and yeah, let's do up the sump. Okay, so with the torque bar set to 30 Newton meters, let's start tightening. So I'll probably only be able to do a few clicks at a time because I'm at a funny angle. Okay, there you go. There you have it. That's to 30 Newton meters on the sump. So next step, let's put some oil in the engine. Okay, so we bought the recommended oil for this engine, which is the 5W30 to the Volkswagen specification 502. If you're ever in doubt, always check your handbook or check online. You'll be able to find out what oil you need. So the capacity for this engine, according to the Castrol website, is 2.8 litre. So we're going to put about 2 litres in, let that settle and chop up as we need. And after we put about 2 litres in, we can check the sump to see if there's any leaks dripping through. So hopefully there's not. Okay, so that's about 2.5 litres there, so we'll just wait for that to settle. we'll check the dipstick. I want it kind of close to full, because when we start the car, the oil filter is probably going to take up maybe 250 to 500 mil by itself. So yeah, we'll just let that set and we'll check the dipstick now in a second. And in case I forgot to mention it, you want to have the car on a flat level surface, so you know, remove it from the jack. Okay, so with the engine running, what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of have a look around, see if you can see anything obvious, any leaks or anything. You know, so far there's nothing coming from the cap, there's nothing coming from the oil filter housing here, so it's good to have a good look around. And if you can, get down onto your knees, have a look under where the sump plug is that you just put back in, see if there's any drips coming out of that. I'm just going to have a kneel down and have a quick look. Yeah, there's nothing coming out of there, so we'll just leave it running for a few moments, and then we'll give it about 5-10 minutes while we do our cleanup for the oil to settle back down. Then we'll check the level again, and we'll top up accordingly, if need be. Okay, so the engine's had about 10 minutes to cool down, so we're just going to check the level now, make sure everything is okay. So you take the dipstick out, you wipe it down, and make sure you have no fluff on it. Place it back in the engine. Take it back out, and as you can see, it's between minimum and maximum, so it's about 3/4 of the way up from minimum, which is where we want it. So there you have it. That's how you change the oil and oil filter on a 2010 Seat Ibiza 1.2 petrol. Now the same probably applies to all the 1.2 petrol units across the Volkswagen Group range.
And thanks for watching. Feel free to drop a comment, like, share and subscribe. And you can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Blogger and Instagram. Thank you.